you get a weird feeling that the heartless hand of fate is reaching out here today and crushing automobiles one by one, like so many flies circling a bright light. Faces turn pale as the crowd realizes that the great names in stock car racing are being scratched on this dream track, one by one. Which one will be left to win the first World 600? You see here a virgin racetrack. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway, Charlotte, North Carolina. 3 million cubic yards of earth were moved to build this incredible mile-and-a-half high-bank asphalt speedway. Engineers reshaped 551 acres of land to sculpture this home of the World 600, longest stock car race in the world. It's beautiful, but untried. Mechanics and drivers like Bud Moore and Jack Smith prepare 60 cars for obstacles unknown. 46-year-old Lee Petty readies not one but 3 cars to be piloted by his son Richard, Bobby Johns, and himself. Lee topped all in NASCAR Grand National point standings in '59, and this year is second only to son Richard. Ready to face the largest sporting gallery ever to assemble in the state of North Carolina are Rex White and Tom Pistone, the 2 smallest veterans of the stock car tracks. Jimmy Thompson is no different from the rest. Nobody knows for sure how this track will react under the mutilation of 240 hot tires spinning at speeds yet unknown on a June afternoon. They can only tune and check their cars with precision and prayer. Famous deans of the track like Smokey Yunick, Curtis Turner, president of this track, and Fireball Roberts can only guess about actions and reactions on the fresh mile-and-a-half track. Every racetrack has a personality of its own. One is like a man, tough, big, predictable. Another can be like a woman, graceful, mysterious, unpredictable. You can tell by looking at Charlotte Motor Speedway that it has a special personality of its own. The front stretch bends twice between the 4th and 1st turns. Turns are banked at 24 degrees, but nobody knows how she'll react, because nobody ever raced on her. Men have planned, worked, and thought for months to find a way to win the largest purse ever posted for stock car racing, $107,775. 3 days ahead of the fateful race, cars charge into the track for the first time. Drivers feel it out to find a running pattern. It's strange at first. Got to get used to the surface. These banks, those elbows in the straightaway. The track is big, beautiful, dangerous. In time trial, Smokey Yunick figures he has only one job: to get car 22 with Fireball Roberts at the wheel in the pole position at the start of Sunday's race. To do it, Roberts must race 4 laps faster than all other cars. He does it with an average speed of 134 miles per hour. Engineer Yunick never misses. One by one, the drivers fight over the rest of the starting position for days. Big names and unknowns get ready to compete for the richest purse ever posted for a stock car race. Old Leadfoot Curtis Turner, the Babe Ruth of auto racing, gets a taste of the track and nails down 3rd starting position. Tires face unprecedented test on this longest race challenge. No one can be sure which rubber, which pressure is safest. Chattanooga's Jolie Johnson qualifies. Johnson won the NASCAR National Convertible Championship last year. Charlotte, North Carolina, is a pretty cosmopolitan city. Population, 200,000. Right in the heart of the lush, modern Piedmont. But Charlotte never saw anything like this before. Upwards of 30,000 men, women, and children came early to get a good spot on the infield. Early means all night long. So the sun rises on a mass of sleeping humanity that looks like the overflow of a World's Fair. Why people camp out like this, just sleeping and making breakfast on the infield, or driving bumper to bumper in a line of cars 11 miles long outside the gates of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Folks make themselves comfortable, meet new friends, truck out their books, cards, guitars, and transistors. Now the local people begin pouring in from all directions. The track is right on Interstate 85 and U.S. Highway 29 on a gentle hill of North Carolina red clay. The Middle South has been watching progress on this track for the better part of a year. It looked as if half of Cabarrus County was being moved to build the awesome track. Newly poured concrete grandstands seat 40,000 people, and the infield area can handle more than that. Cars can park here and do. Shortly before race time, NASCAR officials direct all cars to be equipped and rubber mud flaps at wheels are installed with incredible speed and inspected by officials. That the extra trouble will help save their radiators, windshields, and skins for the grueling 400-lap race. 60 late model automobiles get the eye of NASCAR inspectors. No modification is condoned except for necessary suspension. But the stock car racing fraternity knows better. Everyone is impatient to tame this new track or to be tamed. The weather is perfect. The turnout is tremendous. Major League stock car racing has come to North Carolina to stay. Beauty queens of the race, selected with obvious accuracy, parade before an appreciative audience that whistles like a giant tea kettle. Executive Vice President Bruton snips the red ribbon. A rocket explodes to announce to the world that an unusual race is about to start. The first annual World 600. No one has any idea just how unusual it would turn out to be. Now the booming pack assembles for the parade lap. An excited crowd roars in anticipation. 60 men grit their teeth and tense their right legs, waiting to drive their accelerator pedals to the floor. Engines growl like caged animals. The moment of reckoning is here. As cars come off the fourth turn, they let go. They're passing the point of no return. The green flag is waving. It's flying high. Get out of the way. That pole position pays off for Fireball Roberts, who breaks way out. You're looking at 60 cars racing at better than 125 miles per hour, jammed in one tight pack. This is one critical time when trouble could be mighty contagious. Loses control of his 64 and on the first turn. Cotton Owens and Johnny Allen slam right into him. Wofford's car burst into flames. Apparently, Wofford spun out and tried to regain control by getting on the track under power. and Owens and Allen couldn't avoid him. Charlotte Motor Speedway has seen its first battle fire right here in the first minutes of the first race. Allen's Chevy are wrecked. Miraculously, no one is hurt. But Allen and Owens are beaten and bitter men. One by one, 3 men are out. Johnny Dollar's car, driven by Ed Marksteller, is pulled to the pits after a spin on the home stretch. Another one is out. At the 36-lap mark in this 400-lap contest, Roberts in car 22 leads. Right behind him are Jack Smith in 47, Tom Pistone in 59, Curtis Turner in 26, and Bob Welborn in car 49. Spinning. Tiger Tom Pistone in car 59, a 60 Chevy, has his right foot on the floor. He's gunning hard for Roberts, who is flying at 124 miles per hour. Pistone comes up to Roberts here between the 3rd and 4th turn and passes Roberts. The crowd is wild. Roberts pulls over for his first pit stop, and Pistone leads at the 66th lap. Behind Pistone is Jack Smith in car 47. Smith is forced to the pits. Jack was number 2 in the qualifying time for this race. This is Jack's 15th year in the stocks. At the 73rd lap, Pistone comes into the pits. Junior Johnson breaks out into first place. Jockey-sized Tom wants back in and fast. He's burned up midget and modified tracks for 11 years and is determined to win his first NASCAR event today. Johns hits the rail. Joe Weatherly in car 12 smashes into the first turn guardrail, spins to the apron. Joe's frantic crew tries valiantly to bring him back, but Weatherly is out. One by one, the big ones go. Curtis Turner passes Johnson to grab the lead. Rex White and Bobby Johns are right behind. Jack Smith is pushing his way toward the front for 2 laps. Robert surges back to lead. Junior Johnson and Jolie Johnson push him. Junior Johnson loses it, takes the rail hard. Roberts holds that lead for the second sustained grip in this race. slim lead with Jack Smith in car 47 on his tail. Then Bob Welborn, Ned Jarrett, Curtis Turner, and Jim Reed all packed in the same lap. Turner takes a pit stop. The tricky front stretch posed no problems to these drivers during time trials, but today it's a different story. Bunky Blackburn in car 64. Richard Petty in 43. Arnie Gardner in 24 are among 10 drivers who spin right under the eyes of the stunned grandstand crowd. Grandfather Lee Petty is one of the 10. He loses control and spins out. Petty's crew break their backs to get the 60 Plymouth back in the money. Control. Tillman is out of the race, one by one. Leader Fireball Roberts kisses his lead goodbye with a pit stop. Bunky Blackburn bites the rail a third time. The spunky North Carolina driver must have nerves of steel to survive this fourth accident today. A 58 Chevrolet piloted by G.C. Spencer, car 48, zooms into that fourth turn guardrail. The lead now bounces around from Smith to Roberts, to Turner, to Pistone, all tearing, clawing, pushing mercilessly to the front. Trouble for Tiger Tom Pistone, and the crew goes to work in a long, costly pit stop. Jack Smith in car 47 takes over the lead. In an exhibition of sustained speed and knowledge of the track, Smith gains lap after lap. Welborn and Reed fight for second position. Car 50, George Stead, goes out in a stream of smoke. Doug Yates, car 23, explodes into the fourth turn rail. Yates' crew breaks the news that he's out of the race for good. One more. Fireball Roberts wants Smith behind him. The contest becomes a personal one between Roberts and Smith. 38 cars still run out of a starting field of 60. Robert desperately pushes his 60 Pontiac to catch up with Smith in his 60 Pontiac. Roberts loses control and caroms off the fourth turn rail. Roberts' frantic bid for Smith's commanding lead fails. His men refuse to give up. His front end has collapsed. Doesn't look like much hope. Car 22 goes out for good. Roberts is through. One by one they go. It's the 191st lap and Jack Smith pours it on. Now Jim Reed in car 7 needles Smith. At this halfway point, Smith leads Bob Welborn by 2 laps. Welborn spins in a cloud of dust. He drives straight across to the pits. is three-time NASCAR Convertible Division National Champion and 7th in Grand National standings. Another car slams into the rail. It's car 11, a 64 driven by Ned Jarrett. Jarrett's okay. His car is a wreck. One by one, the favorites and the long shots seem to be dropping. Fate is busy today. The Plymouth is out of control. Bobby Johns bounces off the fourth turn guardrail. Many of these drivers have deep-seated superstitions. Some rebel at the color green. Another wears the same old shoes. Today, another superstition is in the making. That fourth turn is turning out to be a nemesis. No one can say whether the driver's apprehension is real or imaginary. But there's no question but that today, that fourth turn rail is drawing racing cars into it like a modern Lorelei. Trouble. Bob Welborn's hood flies up in his face without warning. He's blindly groping his way toward help. The damaged hood comes off. The pit crew installs a new windshield, and Welborn gets ready to come back to challenge leader Jack Smith again. That fateful fourth turn draws another. It's car 15, Johnny Cutter spinning. Smith, real good. His Pontiac is holding up beautifully against Welborn. Junior Johnson, Buck Baker, and Jolie Johnson. Welborn is headed for the pit. That gives Smith an even greater command over the race. It looks as if Smith is way toward winning the first World 600 Thriller. Junior Johnson climbs out the window. Has been shortchanging him for several laps. The engine catches fire. That's all for Junior Johnson. Continues to take its toll, one by one. The drivers are boiling hot, too. Tiny Lund gets a cold rag at his pit stop. With a 5-lap lead, Jack Smith takes a needed break for gas here in the 301st lap. A 59 T-Bird driven by Jimmy Thompson crashes into the rail at the third turn. Another one gets checked off the list. As Smith goes back in, Jolie Johnson in car 89 moves into second place 5 laps behind him. Johnny Beauchamp in car 73 is moving up fast in his third place spot. So is Buck Baker, car 87 in fourth place. The crowd notices something coming out of Jack Smith's car. It might be gas, smoke, or steam. It looks like gasoline leaking out of Jack Smith's tank. Leader Jack Smith doesn't realize yet that he's leaking gas. Jolie Johnson and Buck Baker plow relentlessly. Jack Smith's pit crew calls him to come in quick on the two-way radio. Of metal out of nowhere has lacerated Smith's gas tank. The hole is as big as your fist. Mechanic Bud Moore desperately tries to plug the gaping hole with a wad of rags. They fill the tank again and send Smith back out to try to finish the remaining 50 laps. Only Jack Smith and his crew understand the disaster that may be right around the corner for a car the crowd thinks is a sure winner. Joe Lee Johnson turns up the trail and is now only 2 laps behind Smith. And now gas is pouring out of Smith's tank again. Smith must come out of the race again to stop the flow of gas, which at this moment is like pouring blood from Smith's veins. Grimly the crew works. As they do, Joe Lee Johnson speeds by and takes the lead. There goes almost $30,000 in prize money. There goes the race for Jack Smith after an unbelievable lead of 198 laps, almost half the entire race. Buck Baker is now in second spot in the 355th lap. Johnny Beauchamp drives hard in third place. Richard Petty is a close fourth. Joe Lee Johnson is a 30-year-old mechanic, currently 15th in Grand National point standings. He has come up all the way from his 20th starting position to number 1 right now. Buck Baker's in trouble. With mechanical difficulties, this stop for the number 2 man is critical. Like writing a winning ticket for Johnson. The biggest threats Joe Lee Johnson has in this 386th lap are Johnny Beauchamp in car 73, Bobby Johns in car 46, the Petty Plymouth, and the possible last-minute car failure. The white flag says 1 lap to go. Beauchamp is moving much faster than Johnson in a desperate bid to win. Wins it. Johnson is the first man to see the checkered flag, the same as looking at more than $27,000 in cash, and the historic pride of winning the first World 600 race. One by one, the racing greats have bit the dust, like 36 little Indians. Only 24 cars out of 60 finished this spectacle. Joe Lee Johnson lasted to lead them all.